to be together, hopefully on one of our last Zoom calls. If we could move in person, I really would like to see everyone in person. So I wanted to welcome everyone, our Human Relations Commissioners, the public, our guests, to our first January 2023 Human Relations Commission. And in light of, we just celebrated Martin Luther King's birthday, I just wanted to open up with a couple of quotes. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great of a burden to bear. My last one, love is the greatest force in the universe. It is the heartbeat of moral cosmos. He who loves is a participant in the being of God. Those are powerful quotes from Martin Luther King. I thought I'd open this meeting up today, and now we'll open with our roll call.
All right, thanks, Chair Nash. Commissioner Anaya.
Here.
Commissioner Kate Clark. Commissioner Cinnamon Clark. Commissioner Kay Coleman.
Here.
Commissioner De Los Rios.
I'm present. I had it on mute. My apologies. Present.
Thank you.
Thank
Commissioner Elliott Santos.
Present.
Commissioner Evans.
Present.
Commissioner Farouk.
Present.
Commissioner Fowler.
Present.
Commissioner Garcias.
Present.
Commissioner Griffin Jones. Commissioner Hassan.
Present.
Commissioner Hodges.
Present.
Commissioner Ishmael.
Present.
Commissioner Corey.
Present.
Commissioner Legaspi. Sheriff Kelly Martinez.
Present.
Commissioner Murray Ramirez.
Present.
Chair Nash.
Present.
Commissioner Roberts.
Present.
District Attorney Summer Stephan.
Present. Good morning.
Morning. Commissioner Vance.
Present.
Commissioner Villaforte.
Present.
All right, all members present and accounted for.
Great, great. At this point, can we introduce our new commissioners?
Yes, we can, Chair Nash. We have 3 new commissioners. We have Kay Coleman, we have Sheriff Kelly Martinez, and we have Commissioner David Vance. And we could go in that order if you'd like to spend a couple of moments introducing yourselves.
Please.
Mr. Coleman.
Good morning, everyone. First, let me just say I'm pleased to be here and be a part of this amazing group of people. And we were given an outline to introduce ourselves. Is that what I should use?
Sure.
Yes.
I really hate going first. I like to watch what other people do and make my remarks briefer or if I need to. Like I'm the only one who said here because I didn't know to say present. So I will learn as we go. But the first thing I would like to share is about my community experience, as that was our first bullet. I've been active in the San Diego community since I moved here 23 years ago. And my first focus and long-lasting focus has been as a cancer advocate and healthcare advocate with the American Cancer Society, leadership roles all the way up to national boards, because I believe that healthcare should be affordable and quality available for all, and have always felt that. So cancer is striking 1 out of 2 men and 1 out of 3 women, and we need to address it. So my life's been dedicated to that. And then I got involved in more broad community activities. I have been on the San Diego Foundation board for 7 years, served as board chair during the 2 years when we launched the COVID Community Response Fund, which was an amazing relief for a lot of people in San Diego County in partnership with the County of San Diego and a lot of our corporate and nonprofit partners. We never at San Diego Foundation do anything alone, but I was very proud to have launched that as board chair. I now serve as board chair of the San Diego Regional Policy and Innovation Center, which is a partnership with the County of San Diego, the Brookings Institution, and the San Diego Foundation, working on the multi-jurisdictional issues that no one part of our region can solve on its own. So we build collaborations to try to address some of those intractable multi-jurisdictional issues. I am passionate, that was the next thing, what are you passionate about? I am passionate about having a purpose and making a difference. I don't just join things. I either contribute or I move on, because I really do believe that my life has been spared with a cancer diagnosis thus far. I wasn't supposed to still be here, and that every day that I live is a gift and I need to give back. So that's what I'm most passionate about. A personal bit of information. My wife and I are celebrating 30 years together. We were couple 98 to get our marriage license in Massachusetts in 2004, when it was the first state to legalize gay marriage. And we stayed up all night. Cambridge started at 12:01 issuing licenses on the first legal day. So we were literally registered couple 98, and that she stayed with me for 30 years is amazing. Then let's see, demographic information. Thank you, Chair Nash, for starting with a Martin Luther King quote. All of his writings have always had a profound impact on me. But what you might not know, because I don't seem to have an accent from my childhood, even though I lived a long time in the state of Tennessee. I grew up in Memphis, and I was just a teenager when Martin Luther King was shot and killed, and it has lived with me as a trauma my entire life. So I like to remember the good things about his life and what he stood for. And I always celebrate his birthday because his actual birthday is the same day as my wife's birthday. So we celebrate them together. A fun fact about myself, and I'm probably talking way too long, is that I have lived in 10 states due to education and career moves since I was 18 years old. And so I've been around the Northeast, up and down the Northeast, Southeast, and the West. So I'm really, really pleased to have landed in San Diego, where I will spend the rest of my life for sure. And you might learn not to call on me first, because I would have made that a lot shorter if my other new commissioners are brief.
Thank you. Welcome. Is it David?
We can go to the sheriff next.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. Really happy to be part of this group. My name is Kelly Martinez. I'm the new sheriff. I've been with the Sheriff's Department for 37 years. I've worked my way through the ranks of the department. I've worked everywhere in this county, in every part of our department and organization, and I'm really happy to be the sheriff and be able to move my priorities forward. Three main priorities: staffing. We are about 20% understaffed right now. Those are existing positions that we need to fill to be able to perform all of the duties and operations that we need to perform. We need to improve our jails. I've been working on that for a while now. We came out last week or 2 weeks ago with some of the improvements we've made in the last year. In the next couple of weeks, we'll be providing a progress report on where we're at with the JLAC report. So I'm excited to be able to release that information, as well as all of the improvements that we see coming our way. Public safety is our core mission. We need to keep our communities safe, but we need to do that in a fair and equitable way. And we need to provide high quality and fair treatment of all of our communities. And that really begins and ends with good, high quality staff who are properly trained and equipped. I understand that prior to my election, the HRC asked for a jail tour. So I'd like to schedule this for May if the HRC is, if that works for everyone. We have some tours already scheduled. Yours is a priority, but we also have the Board of Supervisors, the grand jury, and CLERB with tours of our jails. After those, we can schedule the HRC commissioners at either the San Diego downtown jail or the George Bailey Detention Facility. One caveat, though, with the George Bailey Detention Facility, if that's the jail that we decide to tour, is that we plan to be doing some major construction around May of this year on that facility. It's long overdue. We've got about $50 million worth of improvements coming to that jail. So, you know, we'll see how the timing works for that jail, but we'll make that happen this year for all of you. It's important to me to continue to stay involved with the HRC. It's my priority to be at these meetings. However, there will be times when I have a conflict. So I do have my proxy, which is Edith Sanchez Cruz. I think she's a great representative of our department, and she's been very engaged with this group for a long time. So when I'm not here, I'll be here in spirit, but she will always be here in person if I'm not able to make it. I do plan to be at the meet and greets this year with you all, though, so I'm looking forward to that. And just looking forward to getting to work and driving down our priorities for the next year and the next 6 years to come. So I just want to close in honoring not only Dr. Martin Luther King, but also Mr. Leon Williams. I had the pleasure of meeting him last year during my campaign. I was absolutely honored that he endorsed me for sheriff, and I really want to continue in his spirit with this commission, and I'm happy to be here. So thank you all.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vance.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is David Vance. My pronouns are they, them. I'm so excited to be here for my first meeting. I am here representing the San Diego LGBT Community Center. I am the center's senior manager of advocacy and civic engagement. I am relatively new in this role. It is my 4th month in this position, but I am not new to the center. I actually first started working at the LGBT Center back in 2016, not too long after I graduated college and moved to San Diego. Initially, my work at the center was largely involved in HIV. So I did a lot of work around PrEP, PEP, HIV test counseling, community education, and outreach. After my first time at the center, I went to UC San Diego, where I worked at the Antiviral Research Center and continued my HIV work there. And then after UC San Diego, I went and worked in the office of Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs, where I spent the past 2 years before coming into my current position as the Senior Manager of Advocacy and Civic Engagement at the LGBT Community Center. So I'm originally from rural Wisconsin. I went to college in Ohio, and I moved to San Diego in 2014. In addition to my professional experience, I've been involved in a lot of other community areas. I was on the board of the Hillcrest Town Council for many years, including in the chair position. I was the chair of the UC San Diego Transgender and Non-Binary Community Advisory Board. I'm a graduate of the San Diego Leadership Alliance Institute and the Young Professionals Council Academy as well. What I am passionate about is the LGBTQ community. I am passionate about raising our voices. I'm passionate particularly about transgender and non-binary issues. I'm passionate about disrupting the gender binary, frankly. Again, some more personal info about me. I did grow up in Wisconsin in a very sheltered, stifled environment. And my upbringing in that environment definitely fuels and drives a lot of my passion and work that I do today. I am a non-binary person myself. My pronouns are they, them. So very happy to be representing that community, uplifting transgender and non-binary voices. And a fun fact about me is that I am a 3rd-degree Black belt in Taekwondo.
Ooh.
Very glad to be here with you all.
Yeah, yes. Would you convey that we're gonna miss Commissioner Desert and Commissioner Vance? You have some pretty big shoes to fill.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you. Okay. We're gonna go with our land acknowledgement. Yes.
Thank you, Chair Nash. All right, land acknowledgement. In recognition of and respect for Indigenous peoples as traditional stewards of the land that we now call the County of San Diego. For millennia, the Kumeyaay people have been a part of this land. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. As members of the San Diego community and inhabitants of the Mayat Taipei Kumeyaay territory, we acknowledge this legacy. We promote this balance and harmony. We find inspiration from this land, the land of the Kumeyaay.
Great. Agenda item 4.
All right, this is our standard teleconferencing motion that we have to have for one more month. And then we'll be going in person in March and we'll provide an update at the end of the meeting. But this is our teleconferencing motion that we need to take a motion on and a vote. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953E3, a motion to ratify the chair's previous determination letters filed on behalf of itself and all committees. The commission has considered the circumstances of state of emergency and state and local officials continue to recommend measures to promote social distancing. Direct the chair to review and make the required determinations as applicable to allow the commission to meet remotely at least every 30 days.
I make the motion to accept this.
Motion by
I
Commissioner
second the
Martin.
motion.
Motion by Commissioner Roberts and a second by Commissioner Corey. You can call the roll. Commissioner Anaya?
Aye.
Commissioner Clark, I believe for the records, Commissioner Simon Clark let us know that she would not be able to make it today, Chair Nash. Commissioner Kate Clark. Commissioner Kate Coleman.
Aye.
Commissioner Estela de los Rios.
Aye.
Commissioner Angela Elliott Santos.
Aye.
Commissioner Eleanor Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Sarah Farouk.
Aye.
Commissioner Rodney Fowler.
Aye.
Commissioner David Garcias.
Aye.
Commissioner Griffin Jones. Commissioner Taha Hussein.
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis Hodges. Aye. Commissioner Adim Ismail.
Aye.
Commissioner George Corey.
Aye.
Commissioner Julie Legaspi. Sheriff Kelly Martinez.
Aye.
Vice Chair Nicole Ramirez.
Aye.
Chair Nash.
Aye.
Commissioner Gina Roberts.
Aye.
District Attorney Summer Steffen.
Aye.
Commissioner David Vance.
Aye.
Commissioner Villaforte.
Aye.
Madam Chair, that motion passes unanimously.
Awesome. Now we'll go to agenda item 5, public comment.
And Madam Chair,
The restroom, please. Good morning. I'm from the county meeting. Thank you.
Chair Nash, I don't believe we received any requests to speak. And Cindy, if you could let me know if we have any members of the public with their hand raised or wishing to speak. I don't see any.
No hands raised and no comment, no public comment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, agenda item 6, the celebratory awareness month for transgender, gender awareness and human trafficking. I apologize, I usually contact one of our commissioners to make a comment and I didn't have time. I was wondering if any commissioner would like to just make a quick brief comment on transgender awareness month and also human trafficking month.
This is Vice Chair Ramirez. I think our new representative from the center could focus on the transgender month.
Commissioner Vance, can you just speak briefly, 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes on the month, Transgender Awareness Month?
Sure, yeah, I'm happy to speak. Yeah, I'm
Yes,
happy
sorry
to
put you
speak
on the
on it.
spot.
No, you're all good. Welcome to the meeting. I'm happy to speak on it. So Transgender Awareness Month is a month dedicated to raising awareness of the wide array of issues and layers of oppression that transgender and non-binary people still face. And this shows up in a variety of different areas, right? We know that transgender and non-binary people disproportionately lack access to housing, disproportionately lack access to healthcare, disproportionately lack access to education. We know that transgender and non-binary people are discriminated against in the job market, oftentimes discriminated against by healthcare providers. We're seeing bills and legislation coming out of states around the country that are explicitly targeting not only transgender adults and transgender youth, but healthcare providers who are trying to provide basic health services to transgender adults and transgender youth. So Transgender Awareness Month is about raising awareness of these issues. It's also an opportunity to uplift and center the voices of transgender people, and giving them an opportunity and a platform to speak, to uplift the needs that frankly that have gone unmet for a very, very long time. So again, amazing opportunity to uplift the trans community, to celebrate them, to focus on their joys, all of the amazing contributions they make to our community, but also an opportunity to highlight the needs of the transgender and non-binary community, again, around housing, healthcare, education, and the work that still needs to be done to meet those needs.
Thank you.
And Chair Nash, I see Commissioner Anaya's hand up, and I also see District Attorney Summer Stanton's hand.
Oh, please. Thank you.
I don't know if Commissioner Anaya is going to go first. I was just going to make some comments about Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Is that okay?
If I could just jump in real quick, so we can just wrap up this one piece and then move on. If I could just jump in.
1 minute, Commissioner Anaya.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I just want to, thanks for our commissioner for that quick information item there on and being put on the spot to do it. However, I would ask that the commission we get a more formal presentation just so that we honor the fact that this was, normally we would have a more formal presentation. It'd be on the agenda. I know that sometimes things fall through the cracks a little bit, but I want to make sure that we give this community the same opportunity as all other communities to present, the history and everything just like everybody else. So if we could make sure that on the next agenda, maybe we reach out either again to our commissioner who just presented to elaborate, or other commissioners that could do a presentation just like we do every other month for every other group. Thank you.
And Commissioner Anaya, I have to apologize because I generally reach out in advance of the meetings to have a commissioner speak on these issues. Thank you. Commissioner, District Attorney Summer Stephan.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to acknowledge January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. I think briefly, human trafficking is one of the oldest oppressions of our time. It's a human rights violation, and it is also a violation of state and federal law. For many years in the United States, we turned our back on human trafficking victims. We did not have the laws in place to protect human trafficking victims. We thought of it as something that was far away, which is very strange considering our history of slavery, that we didn't look in our own nation for victims that are being oppressed and enslaved in modern day slavery. One of the things that came out of COVID, unfortunately, that we must be aware of, that we're spreading awareness about, is the internet, and the amount of time that our kids spent on the internet allowed for predators to come in at higher rates. Right now, as kids are going back to school and as they are integrating with trusted adults, we need to have our entire community aware and able to detect the signs of trauma that may have occurred during the pandemic. with predators asking kids to do things that cross their boundary lines that they cannot take back because of their own internal feelings of shame. We are bringing awareness during this month to the fact that boys are also can be and are victims, but actually they don't speak of it at higher rates than girls. The age of victims being recruited as boys is even younger. It's 11 to 14, as opposed to the average age for girls is more like 14 to 16. And of course, it does disproportionately affect our LGBTQ and transgender people. So it continues, but the good news for San Diego is we are all hands on deck. San Diego County is being recognized as one that has become the gold standard in detecting and addressing in a victim-centered way human trafficking. And that's thanks to many of the leaders that I see here and in the community that have joined forces in order to protect victims and protect dignity and the rights of victims. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner District Attorney Stephan. Okay. We'll move to agenda item 7, essential partners.
All right, thank you, Chair Nash. And I'll just open up and then I'll turn it over to you. We sent out a letter from my office to the commission regarding this agenda item to talk about the essential partners consultants team and the work that we asked them to do for the commission. So I'll just read the first couple of paragraphs of the letter and then I'll turn it over to you, Chair Nash. Since its inception, the commission has been navigating deep societal differences that could and have led to conflict within the Human Relations Commission, as well as throughout our region. Recently, a deep division between clergy, religious communities, and LGBTQI+ communities in San Diego County have been revealed and exacerbated through commission meetings, public meetings, at the Board of Supervisors meetings, and news articles in the local media. The Office of Equity and Racial Justice developed a request for proposal to obtain a consultant to develop a series of dialogic interventions and capacity building that will support the Human Relations Commission and the communities it represents as they move toward rebuilding trust and living out its mission of promoting positive human relations. The RFP process concluded in June, and a contract was awarded in November of 2022 to Essential Partners. And Chair Nash, I'll turn over to you for any opening comments before we turn over to the consultant team of John Saruf, Manakshi Shiraka, I can't pronounce your last name, I apologize, Manakshi, Brian Blanky, and Winnie Rugabanda. Chair Nash.
Great. We are so honored to have essential partners with us this morning. I would like to say thank you, particularly on behalf of the Human Relations Commission, on behalf of the San Diego residents of San Diego County. We thank you for stepping up with courage to take on this work here in San Diego. And we are expecting great outcomes, developing some really powerful tools as commissioners that we can take back to the residents of our different communities that can continue the work that we're doing, particularly in the promotion of positive human relations here in San Diego. I see the vision of the outcome of this work is we will become a model that the rest of the county can exemplify, as well as the state, and in fact, as well as this country. And I now would like to turn it over to the leaders of Essential Partners to introduce themselves and give us an update on the plan that they have for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is John Saruf. I'm the co-executive director of Essential Partners. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be speaking to you today. It's a privilege for us to be supporting San Diego County in this timely and vital work. Is it possible for me to share a couple slides? Just, yeah, okay. Just share my screen. Hopefully you can see that. So, so I'm the co-executive director. We were founded in 1989 to help people build relationships across differences to address their community's most pressing challenges. We want to give people the means to strengthen relationships, deepen belonging, renew hope in their community. And I want to talk a little bit more about hope later and your role in helping to hold hope when that becomes difficult. I want to say we've been around for over 33 years now. If there's a bridge building or a dialogue organization or consultancy that facilitates or teaches this work, and there are now hundreds of them in the last 6 years, we've been struggling with this issue nationally, internationally. There's a good chance that in some part they're using our approach, or we were part of teaching some of their facilitators. We were designed as an organization for the most difficult issues: abortion, policing, the environment, guns, race, human sexuality, immigration policy, intra-faith, interfaith issues, healing after civil war. All of these issues are issues that we have been working on intimately with communities for years. And I want to emphasize that our work is with communities, alongside communities. Last year alone, we trained over 1,700 bridge builders. That's people who are trained to design and hold space for important conversations. Just last year alone, we worked with 42 communities in 23 states in 9 countries around the world. And we take seriously, I think, what Chairwoman just spoke about, outcomes and what outcomes and assessing for real change in a community. So we have been assessing our work for several years. 93% of participants report feeling more understood by the other side. 77% of participants say their communities are more cohesive as a result, improved relationships across difference over time. So the strength of a relationship has to be rooted in trust and mutual understanding. And we don't ask people in this process to compromise their deepest convictions. We know each of you and the communities you represent come with strong, important causes and convictions. And we don't ask anybody to check those at the door. We actually want you to bring those and bring those alongside what we think of as the courage of community, because we believe that living across difference in a community is an act of courage. And that you are the ones living closest to the issues where you live that need to do the work of living across those differences. And so it's important for us to be leaving behind the capacity to do this work. This isn't the first issue that has come up in San Diego. It won't be the last. So it's important that the tools are with you, remain with you, and can make a difference for a long time, and that we remain with you. So we have a contract for a particular period of time, but our commitment as an organization is to stay with communities for the long term. We are always here supporting communities with resources, with office hours, with a community of practice and added on trainings that are free and open to anybody who's worked with us. So we are not a kind of consultancy that comes in, does a training and leaves. We are a nonprofit organization with a mission to change the way communities are together. We have worked all across the country with civic groups, schools, faith communities, colleges, organizations across the globe to build resilience, to build belonging, to build trust. We've supported major universities as they've worked to recover from paralyzing divisions, and cities and towns all over the country as they've worked through big decisions, major denominations, religious denominations, to help them navigate theological questions that threaten the future of a denomination. So we are committed to communities and their civic life. I have some familiarity, as does my colleague Meenakshi Chakravarti, with your beautiful community. My first teaching at Essential Partners was in San Diego. It was my first teaching trip. I joined Essential Partners and we taught the power of dialogue at the University of San Diego to a combination of grad students and community leaders. We did that for several years. And that was a project headed by Professor Zachary Green, who is a professor of the practice and director of leadership and development at the Nonprofit Institute at the University of San Diego. That's how we were introduced to you and recommended for this. And we're grateful to have worked with members of your team to develop this proposal and the thinking around it. So a lot of the ideas that you'll see my colleagues presenting came out of a lot of collaboration already around what this project can look like. And I'll just say this at the end, and I think it was echoed by sentiments that you spoke about before. I think it's important to remember that our work, that your work that we're embarking on together will be hard, will be complicated, but that at the heart, the most important thing that you can do is to hold on to hope and encourage the community to do the same. You are bridge builders in your community already. And as bridge builders, I think we have to hold hope where sometimes communities struggle to do that. We are confident that communities come back from some of the most severe divisions and healing is possible. Reknitting relationships is possible. It's fundamental. So we're looking forward to making space for these differences that we all celebrate in this commission as part of what makes San Diego strong and resilient. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity that you've given our organization to be part of that. I'll hand it over to my colleagues to continue on and I'll stop sharing.
Let me just see for Meenakshi and Winnie and myself will be the team that will be working with you. And I wanted to give us an opportunity quickly to introduce ourselves, and so we'll be getting to know you as well. And I don't, Meenakshi, are you on?
Yep, I am.
All right, kick it off with you.
Happy to be here. As John said, an honor. It's an honor to be here, and in some ways, even though it's virtual, and in my case, virtual from very far away for at least this meeting, our next meeting, I won't be so far away. It's sort of a little bit of coming home. I came to San Diego in 2003, so about 20 years ago, and lived there for about 15 years. And that's where, as a practitioner, I had graduated, so to speak, with Public Conversations Project, which is the organization that preceded Essential Partners. It's the same organization. The name changed, and it grew even larger and more beautiful. So I grew as a practitioner in San Diego. I was alone over there. Public Conversations Project and Essential Partners are based in Boston. And in San Diego, I discovered a place of wisdom. I don't live there anymore. I live in New York. I came away in 2018, but I often tell people I know throughout the US as well as throughout the world that my time in San Diego was a time of finding people of heart and wisdom and learning from them. Among other things, in San Diego, as John mentioned, I he and I did some of the Power of Dialogue training at the University of San Diego. I also became director of the Leadership Institute at the School of Leadership and Education Sciences in San Diego. And then while I was director, Dr. Green and I worked with RISE San Diego to create their Urban Leaders Fellowship Program, which is a wonderful, wonderful program. And I've kept up with some of their successes and challenges since it was founded. And again, to me, again, it is an example of that heart and wisdom of San Diego, and where heart and wisdom is not perfection, where heart and wisdom is dealing with difference, dealing with difficulty, and encountering it and engaging it fully. And I see that, I hear that, I actually listen to some of the videos of your commission meetings, of the supervisors meeting. And again, I heard that engagement that is very, very full. I was listening to Commissioner Coleman tell us what the format was, and I thought, what a wonderful format. I was going to follow it, but I ended up responding to John in some ways to introduce myself. But I do want to say a little bit about what I'm passionate about, especially in this work, what brought me to it. What brought me to it was discovering Public Conversations Project and hearing how they bring together people who are profoundly in disagreement on matters of utmost importance to them, profoundly. And in fact, it was their work on the abortion issue between pro-life and pro-choice activists and leaders that drew my attention. And this is a matter of profound commitment on whichever side you are on that issue. And I wondered, how do you bring people to speak about something that is that they disagree on from deep within them? I originally come from India, and I felt that on the Kashmir issue, that Indians and Pakistanis had a similar difference. And how can one bring people together to speak and engage with respect and care, even while they continue to disagree? And I learned in Public Conversations Project that doing this is very hard. Doing this is hard for a facilitator, even harder for the people trying to bridge across very deep, profound differences. But it can be done. And the spaces, it is so important for us in this world to create spaces for that possibility. And that's what I'm passionate about, creating spaces for that possibility. I'll stop here and invite Winnie, my colleague Winnie, to introduce herself a little bit, and then we'll tell you a little bit about what we're planning.
Thank you, Meenakshi. I'm so happy to be here as well. My name is Winnie Rugamba, and a little bit about how I ended up with EP. I joined EP in 2019 as an intern, as I was doing my master's in conflict resolution and coexistence. And when I joined EP, it was the first time that I was actually part of a place where like dialogue is an actual structured thing. And I say that because where I'm from, which is in Rwanda, when I was still living there, due to the unfortunate events that happened in Rwanda in 1994, I was already in a lot of informal ways doing dialogue work, whether in schools or in different communities. And so when I moved to the US and joined EP via my internship, I was like, this is a thing, like people can actually do this. And so fell in love with the organization and stuck around till they hired me. And so I'm currently with EP as their research project coordinator, as well as a practitioner. Something that's important to mention, which I'll also tie into why I'm part of this project as well is that I am now carrying pieces of our community of practice. As John mentioned, we try to stay in deep relationship with those that we work with. And so I'm part of this project to not only support this project in various ways, but to also start building relationships with each one of you and to continue to hold this piece in the future as well. The background, my working background, as I mentioned, varies between community building, either through the education sector and different institutions and various organizations that I've been able to start working with through EP. For this particular project, I will be supporting the coordination, the preparation of materials, holding different pieces of communication. We're super intentional and we care so deeply about the work that we want to do with you that we are as detailed as possible. And so those are the different ways that I'm going to be coming in to this project. I believe in our power together, collaborating together, that we can truly reach where we want to reach. And so I'm very excited to just be part of this project and see how that is going to unfold, and here to support you in all the different ways. And I will pass it to Brian.
My name is Brian Blanca, and I'm an associate with Essential Partners. I first learned about Essential Partners back in the 1990s. I was trained as a mediator, community mediator in 1989. And decided I wanted to go on to graduate school and do my doctoral research in conflict resolution. And that's when I first came across Essential Partners and really thinking about dialogue, the power of questions to open up new conversations. This was particularly relevant because I was at school at Syracuse, which is located in upstate New York, which is located in the Haudenosaunee or Iroquois territory. And I was getting a degree from a university, Syracuse, who sadly has a bit of a colored, checkered history with the Onondaga Nation and other nations within the Confederacy. And so I wanted to make sure I was doing something that would actually contribute to the community, and particularly to the Haudenosaunee, many of whom have land claim disputes in upstate New York. So I appreciate the land acknowledgement because that's an ongoing issue everywhere, but particularly in upstate New York and around the reservations there. And so did a lot of research trying to understand what can we do as negotiators to help engage and resolve these land claims collaboratively through negotiation. Some have settled, some have not, none in New York State. And as I was involved in these conflicts, which have been going on for 20 plus years, and sort of seeing firsthand what it was doing to our local community, it really hit home for me the importance of dialogue, because my background being in mediation has really been focused on problem solving. And many rounds of negotiation there, they reached settlements, but as soon as they announced the settlement to the public, there would be a bit of a not in my backyard reaction, and those settlements would fall apart. And so year after year, they would continue to negotiate, but make no progress. And ultimately, from what I've seen and tried to support in my small way there, is the need for dialogue, for landowners, for property owners who live there now to sit down, in particular the Kiyuga Indian Nation, who wanted to come back and reestablish a reservation in their ancestral territory. These are people who haven't seen each other, interact with each other directly for 200 years. This is ultimately about rebuilding relationships and seeing the humanity of each other, instead of acting out of stereotypes of what Indians are like or what property owners or rural farmers are like in upstate New York. This ultimately is about rebuilding community. And I think until that work is done, these mediations and negotiations won't ultimately be successful because the underlying ground hasn't been set. And so for me, I learned firsthand the importance of dialogue, the importance of being able to sit down with each other. It's not about persuading each other they're right or wrong. It's really seeing the humanity of the other person. And so I think particularly in the last 2 election cycles in the last 5 years, for me, just this has hit home nationally as our social fabric has frayed, the importance and the need for dialogue. And so while I'm new to San Diego, I bring this passion for dialogue and how it can heal communities with me. So I look forward to working with you. So let's say a little bit about what we're actually going to do. What is this consultancy all about? So in terms of our role and the goals for this project, that is Meenakshi, myself, and Winnie, will all be working with you to create the space for understanding, for relationship building, and for fostering healing. And there'll be lots of ways for you to be involved to the extent that you want to be involved in this work. And Meenakshi will touch upon that in a moment. But we want to make sure we connect with you, that we listen, and that we hear from you. And again, there'll be a number of ways that we'll be doing this, because ultimately this is not about us as essential partners coming into your community and telling you what to do. We're here, as John mentioned, to really partner with and support you in the community building and healing that's going on there. So let's talk about a little bit some of the different ways that we'll be working with you in the months to come.
We will start with a survey. So to begin to get your input, to get your thoughts, we'll be sending out a survey to all of the commissioners to understand your experience, perspectives, and hopes for the community. We will also do one-on-one interviews with some number of you and with some community members to learn more and to go deeper in order to get some sense of the lay of the land, to get some sense of what does this mean to your communities, to San Diego County as a whole, as your communities live together. Why do we do this? Because this will shape how we design and how we facilitate and train for you that is responsive to what we hear from you as important in your communities. What do we need to know to make this this work as relevant and as attuned to who you are in San Diego County, in the county as a whole, but also in the specific communities that you will give us some sense of and give us some understanding of. We will, and we're going to be working with Chair Nash, Andrew, and perhaps some of the other commissioners to create a planning committee to guide and shape our work. The role of the planning committee is advisory. So what we'll be doing with the planning committee is saying, okay, first of all, what do we need to know? So we've already done a survey that is going to be sent to all of you. We will be doing the one-on-one interviews, and then we'll also be talking to the planning committee. What do we need to know? Then having heard what we need to know, we'll say, okay, here are some thoughts about what we want to do. What do you think? They give us feedback. We listen to that, we redesign, we tweak, we change, we modify. So we work with their input. The planning committee acts as a sounding board for us, providing feedback. And we use all of this to design and facilitate a process for and across these communities of the county that you know well and care about. The planning committee will be about 5 to 8 people, in part because we will hope to meet the committee together at various points, and in part because we hope that about 5 to 8 can give us some sense of the range of perspectives. Can't give us all of it because we will be getting this other input from the surveys, from other one-on-one interviews. If necessary, if someone on the planning committee or in one of the interviews says, I really do think you should talk to so-and-so, we might add to that, add that conversation, perhaps email them, perhaps have a phone call. We'll be coming to San Diego soon, I hope in February or March, to meet with you and to further build connections with you and to further build our understanding in a more direct way. We'll be organizing a pilot dialogue or two in March, starting in March, with some commissioners and with members of the community. Who these people will be, again, will become something that you all, and especially the planning committee, will guide us on. The dialogues will typically be 8 to 10 people. A pilot dialogue. We're hoping that perhaps we could do the first dialogue as a face-to-face dialogue and do it in the same trip that we come out to meet you all. But if that doesn't happen, the dialogues will happen virtually. The dialogues are intended, and you heard John speak about this, they're intended to foster mutual understanding, connection, and trust, and that builds the foundation for healing and bridging across, on this conflict, especially across clergy and LGBTQIA communities in San Diego. Also, very importantly, the dialogues are to help participants, and particularly you, the commissioners who engage in the dialogues, to understand the potential of reflective structured dialogue. That is the term we use to describe our approach. The potential of it as a strategy or process for building greater understanding across the communities of the county and across members of the commission, and enabling the commission to better live out its mission. As John said, this is, I'm sure he is sure this is not the first time, it's not going to be the last time conflict is normal in societies. We have deep commitments that don't always converge. And so conflict will continue. How do you continue to engage fully and with full commitment on the issues you most care about, but without rupturing your community, without rupturing relationships? Brian, do you want to continue how we go on from there?
Great. So after the pilot dialogues that we'll do with the commission, we'll come back probably either again in March or in April to be doing a 2-day training on dialogue design and facilitation. And this is for community members, so that we're, as Meenakshi is talking about, we'll be building the capacity, your capacity, to not only engage in this subject, but in any sort of challenge or conflict that comes up in the future. We want to give you the skills for organizing and then conducting these dialogues. So we'll be doing a dialogue training with the idea that now that we've done the pilots, we can take these dialogues and bring them out into the county and have a number of different conversations. So we'll have a series of dialogues that will happen throughout the county through the spring of summer of this year, with ultimately the goal of really empowering you as a community to be able to engage not only this conflict, but any future conflicts as well, so that it doesn't tear at the social fabric, but rather allows people to live together with respect and care across the differences that so often can drive conflict. So we're very excited to be partnering with you on this project. We've seen, as John and Meenakshi have mentioned, we've seen from watching some of the commission meetings and supervisor meetings, we've heard about the calls for healing, for the calls for working together through this conflict, so that it actually strengthens the community. And we're honored to be invited to do this work with you. So I'll turn it back over to Ellen and Andrew to see if there's any follow-up or any questions.
Absolutely. Any of our commissioners, you have any questions?
Chair, next we have Commissioner Evans' hand up.
Okay, great.
Hi, I'm going to be the negative here. This is for us to come together as a unit, as opposed, and then to take what we've learned or absorb, take it out into the community? Is this what we're doing?
Yes, so the first phase of the work is with the commission and the folks you identify to have these initial conversations to pilot that work, start to have those conversations, and then those will become a basis for broader community-wide conversations.
So we're talking about changing attitudes. How many meetings are we going to have for this?
So the initial pilots that we'll be doing we'll be having 2 to 4. That's just within the commission and any other folks that you think should be invited into those pilot conversations. And then over the larger period over the spring and summer, the idea is then to bring it out into the community so that there's upwards of hundreds of folks who are able to participate in the conversations. So that's why we're doing the training in April, is so that we can train a number of your community members to be dialogue facilitators who can then go out and organize these conversations to be in the community at large.
Okay, we're really a diverse group of people, and personally, I love everyone here. But how do we establish accountability?
So say more about accountability in terms of representation and hearing different voices, is that?
Right, how do we establish accountability? And also, I know there will be people who may have very strong opinions and going in direction from what you're saying. How do we not personalize this and have, you know, the antagonism, and people really will absorb this, but at the same time, you know, either not feel, you know, ostracized or feel that they're being disrespected or whatever, because this is huge. You're asking something really, really huge. When you start talking about religion, and then you talk about, compare that with, you're saying the LGBTQ issue. All right, that's huge, you know, and a lot of people, they have one opinion about religion, you know, and they may verbalize something else. There may be people who have opinion about LGBTQ, but may verbalize something else. Okay, so you want us to be sincere, have this trusting environment, and at the end, we're all going to come together and say, you know, kumbaya. I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned that, you know, is this really going to work? Because if we go as deep as you're saying we're going to go, is this really going to work and not, you know, tear us apart? Because we went through that last year, okay, and we've lost members because of those kinds of things on both sides. All right.
Thank you, Commissioner Evans, for your candor. Do we have other hands?
Commissioner Roberts?
Excuse me.
Ash, may I respond to?
No, not yet.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Jane Ash, did you say sure that I could respond?
Yeah,
or?
Absolutely.
Yes, Commissioner Evans, I think, Commissioner Evans, you are absolutely right to be worried. It is very hard. This is very difficult. What you are describing is what we are going to invite you to do, and it is very hard. And it is exactly the kind of speaking that you just did that will help us design and facilitate a process that will invite commissioners to speak about what's most important to them in a way that can be heard, and invite commissioners to listen to others, even if they profoundly disagree, in a way that that listens for what is important to the speaker, to the other person. And we are not coming in saying this is easy and we have a format and we create a trusting space. A trusting space is not declared. We're not coming in and declaring that, okay, now you can trust each other and speak. No, it is exactly so, as I laid out, us getting input from you before we start the work is crucial, and is crucial to the way we will speak to you. We will ask you in those surveys, we will speak to, what do you need to be able to speak in a way that others can hear what is most important to you? What do you need to be able to listen, even when you profoundly disagree, to listen for what is important to others? And in these few minutes, I'm trying to say this, and there's much more that I would ask you, Commissioner Evans and other commissioners, and there's much more I will listen for, and so will Brian, before we can create this process and invite you into it. So that, for the moment, that is my response. And it's a short response, but it's not a complete response, because there is so much work beyond and behind that response.
And Chair Nash, we have Vice Chair Nicole, we have Commissioner Roberts and Commissioner Corey's hand up.
In that order.
Thank you. This is Vice Chair Ramirez. I also share very serious concerns that Commissioner Evans. We have to remember that this issue affected a resignation of our commission from one of our commissioners. And you should all know the physical and mental of one of our commissioners is still suffering through it. And then we must also remember that this is not only about our commission. It affected parts of the religious community, the African-American community, the LGBT community. And what goes on here, trust me, we all know that we have been deeply involved in this issue. And what happened last year is that it involves these communities. And there was even pressure a lot for many of the LGBTQ members to resign because of the hurt and damage that this caused. Also, though we are progressing, there is still that cloud over this commission because of this issue. I'm certainly willing to be a part of this, but I have very serious concerns and would remind everyone, including the facilitators, that this will resonate outside of the HRC also, and that there'll be many community leaders, I believe, watching on how everyone is treated and what the end results of this is. Thank you.
Commissioner Roberts?
I just want to, I'm not going to argue about it because I think you guys have already made the decision to do this, but I want to be involved in the process. So please put my name forward as a volunteer for the interviews and working with the subcontractors, essential partners.
I have another comment that we've never addressed is
Commissioner Evans, hold your thought. We really want to respect everyone's voice here. I think there was.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Yes, this is Commissioner Corey. I have major concerns also with this in general, because there are many subjects that are beyond this commission and even beyond our communities to resolve. I'll give you an example, the Palestinian-Israeli situation. Okay, I am a Palestinian origin. So there are certain issues that no mediation at this level can really resolve it, because it's not been even resolved at the international level. So there are issues and concerns that are local as well as within the commission that will be really of concern to me to start creating some adversarial feelings amongst the different participants. And accordingly, as others said, I may even participate, but I still have my concerns. Thank you.
And Chair Dash, we have Commissioner Anaya and we have Commissioner Evans. And I believe we have a member of the public that wishes to speak. So we can go with the commissioners, and I see Commissioner Hassan as well.
Okay, let's go in that order, please.
I got some, I mean, I echo a lot of the sentiment and stuff, but let me try and take this a little bit. I'm looking at this a little bit different, just remembering our work with a previous consultant when we did it, when we had to draft the mission statement and how long that took and the process. And quite frankly, I was a little disappointed on how long that took. And so here's some questions. This may be more for you, Andrew. I didn't have a chance to actually review the original RFP, or don't remember if I had a chance. I probably did, and not sure what the proposals look like that were selected. But I guess my questions are, A, what is the budget that was allocated towards this project? Where are those funds coming from? What are the actual deliverables in the scope of work? What is that scope? What is the term? And what is the term of this engagement with this consultant? And then, so that's kind of on the contractual side. And then for essential partners, and this is not necessarily a question in regards to your contract, it's more about your who you are, the company. I think you would agree that representation matters in all areas. I mean, based on the work that you do. Obviously, in the community that I represent and I work with, I had an opportunity to go through your website, knowing that you are not necessarily from San Diego, but what was really different for me is that I did not see much Latino, Latinx, Chicano, Hispanic representation amongst either on your leadership or your staff, and in a region that's so, our demographics are such, and also with being a border town, I want to see how you would, in the work that you're doing, how you would address that. So I guess it's two separate sets of questions for two different parts, for one for Andrew and then one for the consultant.
Thanks for that question, Pedro. And I'm happy to, we can go over the statement of work and scope of work. I don't have the contract right in front of me right now. As far as tons of deliverables, there's 3 phases of the work that we're asking essential partners to do. This was an RFP process. I believe our budget was initially $150K for this contract. And we only received 1 proposal for the work. That tells you how tough I think this work is, that people didn't necessarily want to jump in. But we did a lot of recruitment to local organizations to see if they would want to participate. We sent direct emails to folks like NCRC and other organizations across our region. And we only had 1 proposal in. But happy to share the statement of work with this entire commission, share the entire contract with everybody so you can see the scope of work and what we're asking to do in detail and in specifics. Jane, I see Janie here, who's our core on the call right now. And I don't know, Janie, if I missed anything on that as far as the budget, but if I did, feel free to chime in. And if not, we can definitely send the contract and scope of work out to everybody so you can see it.
Thanks, Andrew. One thing that I would ask as we go through this process, if there is any change orders or extensions on the contract before they are approved, this commission should have the opportunity to provide feedback as if it's necessary, if we agree, if we don't agree, just so that I don't want to get into this like, oh, we need 1 more month, we need 1 more month, and then 6 months later to a year later, we're still, moving, we're still connected here.
Sounds good. And we are in communication, Chair Nash. And like I said, we'll have this planning committee, and that's going to be the goal. Feel free to participate on the planning committee so you can be, have your ear to the ground on that or not. But whoever wants to be a part of it, one of the things you want to do is make sure we're as inclusive as possible. So your voices are being heard throughout the process, which includes everything you just said, Commissioner Anaya. Commissioner Evans? Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. I think there was a couple of more questions, Commissioner Anaya, for somebody else to speak to, maybe from Essential Partners, I believe.
Sure, I'm happy to speak on behalf of the organization about representation. You're exactly correct, Commissioner Anaya. Representation and the way the practitioner team comes and works with the community and the identities that we bring is really important to building trust, building relationship, having understanding of certain cultural norms and pieces of the work that are vital to a successful project. I'll say two things about it. That's why we work. One is that it's why we work with a planning team. You and people on the planning team will have insights, as Meenakshi was talking about, into the work, into the culture, into the history of this conversation, where there are particular fault lines between different communities or strengths that can be utilized. We will, in some ways, have to borrow your trust that you have built with community members in order to invite community members into a successful project. And then we build that slowly. In terms of the very specific question, that's a really important one about our own makeup as an organization. There are several identities that we represent as a practitioner team on this call. Several identities that we can't represent in a mix of a small team. But if we were to find out in the process of this that having a person of Latinx Hispanic descent was important to the successful work in supporting this, we would certainly be in conversation with your team about that. We do have several practitioners who do identify that way, some who have come through, have been associates and are no longer associates for different life reasons, certain ones who are fellows and on their way towards that. So that's always an ongoing and iterative conversation with a community. But the hope is that we could fulfill as much of the diverse set of identities and insights from the community itself, knowing that the practitioner group could never really do all of that ourselves. I hope that, at least, again, as Meenakshi said, a small answer to a much larger question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Evans and Commissioner Hassan.
Thank you. Thank you. As always, Pedro, Commissioner Aya is always able to verbalize and put into the vernacular what I'm saying. So I greatly appreciate you being here. It was very eloquent and very astute in what you're saying. Again, this is not the only issue that the commission has in terms of, relationships between people, because what I have heard over the past year is the fact that the women on the commission are not as respected, and I put that in quotes, as the men are, that the men have a tendency to want to, take over the meeting or disregard what the women are saying. So that is something that I think needs to be addressed in the future. I don't personally feel that way, but it's been expressed to me more than once by more than one female, on the commission. So that's a concern, and that still comes under, trust and relationships between people. Okay, so I think if we're going to do this, we're not really going in different directions, but I think that needs to be addressed some kind of way, for one of a better way to state it. Okay. Again, Pedro, thank you so much.
Thank you, and you're welcome.
Next. Yes. Commissioner Hussain.
Thank you. Peace be with you all. And my question to the representatives of the essential partners, as I am a religious leader, I would like to know how diverse religiously is your team, whether you have a good understanding of different faith-based communities and organizations. Also, whether you have an experience working with different religious groups. We know we are at the time of some religious extremism, here and there, the rise of Christian right nationalism and white supremacy. So I would like to hear about your experience working across religious communities in the past. Thank you so much again.
Meenakshi, is that something you'd feel comfortable talking about?
Yes, sure. Commissioner Hussain, when I joined what was then called Public Conversations Project, as I mentioned, part of what led me to want to learn about this work and then to do this work was conflicts in my country of origin in India. And I mentioned specifically conflicts over Kashmir, conflicts between Indians and Pakistanis, which is not only a religious issue, but quite often gets voiced as a religious issue. And within India itself, increasingly sharp conflicts between Hindus and Muslims. I grew up Hindu and have my mother, for example, lived in Lahore when she was a child. And Indian Muslims are part of my life, my community. And so that conflict was one of the first ones where I wanted to learn how to engage with. That conflict is one that is both voiced as one that is religious and yet is not only about religion, and how do you listen to what is important that is related to religion, and how do you not get simply not assume that the only sources of conflict are within that religion. So that was where the work started for me on religious issues. One of the things that I did in the Boston area was start up a dialogue group called Seher, which I believe means dawn in Urdu. And that was with Indians and Pakistanis and Bangladeshis. And one of the dialogues we had was between Hindus and Muslims. Again, that was one of my early efforts using reflective structure dialogue. I've also worked with Christian communities of various kinds, both Protestant and Catholic, and interfaith with Jewish and Christian communities. So in all these cases, opening up space and in the case of the Hindu and Muslim dialogues, myself being one of the participants, so experiencing what it is to be in a space where you're talking about something that is a deeply held value, a deeply held heritage, a deeply held faith, and listening to it from someone else where it's different, and speaking from yourself. So I'll stop there and see if that starts to give you some sense of my experience, at least. I don't know if John or Brian want to add to that.
I'll just say that I'm happy to also send along some reports and stories of some work. And in particular, I'm thinking about Howard County in Maryland, where we worked for 5 years with an interfaith group, including what started out as 6 different congregations, a Muslim group, a Jewish synagogue, Catholic group, and the Unitarian Universalists, the Methodists, and there's another one that I'm forgetting, but it then blossomed into 55 different congregations, including Baha'i and the Mormon Church, and on and on, and an incredibly successful interfaith collaboration, a dialogue across Columbia, Maryland, that has really gone a long way to build relationships across those groups in support of each group and their many issues that they have trying to live in community as faith organizations. So happy to just share that, and also invite, if anybody wanted to talk to a particular religious leader in another community, as by way of reference, I'd be happy to put people in touch with people just to get a sense of their history in working with us and how they've felt about it, and as a bit of a reference, but also learning.
Great, thank you so much for your answer. I wanted just to make sure that you will take into consideration different voices from different faith communities, and every faith community has the right to raise their voices, to express themselves, to define themselves. And just to let you know that in San Diego County, there are many interfaith coalitions, great interfaith coalitions, working together for a lot of noble causes, starting from homelessness to environmental justice, to racial justice, to economic justice. So this is why San Diego is unique when it comes to the interfaith work. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
And I just want to honor, I believe Commissioner or Vice Chair Nicole, is your hand up again? Would you like to speak?
No, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would like to thank everyone, all the commissioners, for your comments. Essential partners, you better get ready and put your roller skates on. You are going to be dealing with a very, very strong, professional, passionate group of individuals who are well articulate, have a lot of experience in this work. And so I hope you're up for the challenge. Again, I still want to honor your courage. Given the county purchasing requirements, we did go out several times. I can't speak to all of it because I'm not a purchasing employee and I'm not a county employee, but I know within the confines of the purchasing process and the laws and policies, that this whole search to land with essential partners was done fairly, transparently, and with as much input that I could put in, complaining, asking questions. Some could not be answered, others could. We've ended up with essential partners. We thank you for rising to the occasion within those confines and constraints. Which brings us to, there is a planning committee. I'm going to ask all the commissioners to take this effort seriously. It is needed in all sorts of spaces, particularly in the anti world. I don't have to say specific titles. You all know exactly what I'm talking about. And this is an opportunity for us to bring all these great minds together and do some great work for our community in terms of promoting positive human relations. If Executive Director Strong, should the commissioners who would like to volunteer reach out to you, we're saying 5 to 8, but there may be more. I think with regard to the diversity issue, We can ensure that we add all those voices at the table, including starting with the planning committee. So what's lacking here, we can make up for it. We will hold ourselves to that standard until those voices are in the room, in this space. I personally take that challenge on myself to ensure that all voices are in the room that are either on this commission or in the community. There's a lot of strength here. And so I want to say thank you for being here, and we look forward to the plan that you've laid out. Please, I believe that the plan that you articulated today was shared with the full commission. Director Strong?
Not yet. We want to send out, so we'll send a follow-up email with the RFP, with the proposal, with the detailed information that was asked for. And then we'll also send a request for, if you would like to be a part of that planning commission, to respond to Cindy Jones and myself, so we can set up that planning commission.
Thank you.
And also, I see Chair or Commissioner Evans, was your hand up, or did you take it back down?
You answered my question just now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And we also have a Tom Packard, a member of the public, Chair Nash. I'm not sure if you want to speak.
Okay.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Tom Packard. I'm a member of Showing Up for Racial Justice, North County. And two things, the material that Mr. Strong said he's going to send to the commission, I'd like to have you make that available to the public, maybe post those documents at your website. And if I understand the plan, I like it that you're going to start with doing the work with the commission, and then it's going to go a lot more broadly into the community. And y'all might be thinking about this, and Chair Nash just kind of touched on it about the voices, but I really hope you'll, and staff can help on this, reach out to a lot of the people that have spoken at Board of Supervisors meetings, especially through the COVID era. There's been a whole lot of controversy and a whole lot of challenges related to good human relations in some of the comments that have been made at the Board of Supervisors meeting. So I hope that somehow you'll reach out to those people and try to get them involved in your dialogue. Thanks for the opportunity to speak here.
Thank you, Mr. Packard. Okay, we're going to move on to agenda item 8, legislative subcommittee presentation.
Okay, thank you, Essential Partners. We'll move on to agenda item number 8, and I believe Nurea. Okay, I see you're on. I'll share my screen.
Okay, and then I don't know if our subcommittee chair, Commissioner Elliot Santos, had anything to say.
Commissioner Elliot Santos, would like to open up?
If not, I can get started. So just
okay, feel free to get started. No.
All righty. Let me just go ahead and pull up my notes here. So I was very strictly told today to be 10 minutes and also not to take any questions as well, because there's such an impacted agenda today. So this is also an open invitation to all of the commissioners. For those that don't know me, my name is Nurea Ertasin. I'm a legislative policy advisor in the county's new Office of Economic Development and Government Affairs. Along with Sam Soy, we are the staff of the legislative subcommittee. So it's a very exciting subcommittee for all of you who would like to join us. There we share monthly, I share what we are doing in the Office of Economic Development and Government Affairs, share the positions on bills that we're taking and everything exciting in that realm. And also the subcommittee members bring their bills of interest to our office for us to do county internal review and take consideration of taking positions on those bills. So today I'm going to be presenting briefly on the county's legislative program that is approved annually. We can stay on that first. Are we still on that first? Yeah. So the county's legislative program, which is approved annually by the Board of Supervisors. The 2023 legislative program was just approved on December 13th. And this platform allows for advocacy on behalf of the County of San Diego. Our team in the Office of Economic and Government Affairs tracks state and federal bills and responds accordingly. This can include formally engaging by taking positions of support or oppose on bills, or working with our county advocates to get bills changed. Next slide, please. Alrighty, the county's legislative program has 3 components. This includes the sponsorships, priority issues, and policy guidelines. These, can we go back one slide? I'm sorry. Oops. Okay, sorry. Oh, that's perfect. No, the next one is fine. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is a snapshot of what the analysis is done each day during the legislative session for our department subject matter experts in conjunction with the authority that is done, that is given through the legislative program. So via the board advocacy given in policy M2, the Office of Economic Development is given authority to take positions on bills for the County of San Diego. The legislative program provides EDCA with policy guidance for the county's advocacy when evaluating proposals out of Sacramento and DC. This gives our office authority to take positions on bills. Our Board of Supervisors can also bring forward board letters recommending legislative action. The County of San Diego had roughly 50 active bill positions in 2022, 44 state bills and 6 federal bills. Next slide, please. This is a snapshot of the workflow. These are the components of the legislative program. So within the legislative program, there's a sponsorship proposals, priority issues, and policy guidelines. A link to the county's legislative program was sent to all the board members, and you can also find that link. It's open to the public on the county's Economic Development and Government Affairs page. Sponsorship proposals outline the measures in which the county will pursue a sponsorship of bill. The priority issues highlight the areas for advocacy the board has deemed most important for the year. And then policy guidelines provide general policy direction via the guideline statements, which allow us to react to proposals that may be introduced throughout the year by other entities, organizations, or legislators. I will cover these in detail in 1 second. Next slide, please. This is a snapshot of the analysis that is done every day during the legislative session with our departmental subject matter experts in conjunction with the authority that's given by the legislative program. So we take each piece of legislation, we receive county departmental and council feedback, we cross-examine that with our authority given by our Board of Supervisors, we notify our Board of Supervisors, and then we engage directly on the pieces of legislation. Next slide, please. This is the 2023 County of San Diego state sponsorship proposals, in which our office will seek a legislator, provide bill language, and help shepherd the bill through the legislative process. These proposals came either from our departments who recognize a need for change in law to do their job better or to better serve the community, or these proposals came directly from our Board of Supervisors via an approved board letter. These are all exciting. We don't have specific legislators or bill numbers, but we will be sure to update all of that information once it's known. This is all very exciting information you can come learn more about in the legislative subcommittee meetings as well. Next slide, please. Priority issues. So these are the Board of Supervisors deemed most important issues that we will be advocating on by the board this year. So Office of Economic and Government Affairs will actively engage in legislation in the priority areas at the state and federal level to ensure that the legislation benefits the county operations, our clients, customers, and all the constituents we serve. The County of San Diego will actively pursue funding to uplift and invest in our communities and ensure that San Diego receives our fair share. And the county will also oppose any legislation that runs counter to our slated priority issues. Next slide, please. So policy guidelines provide a general policy direction. This is another component of our legislative program that provides guideline statements that allow us to react to proposals that may be introduced throughout the year. These issues we run through the year. We have some really great statements that we've worked directly with our community partners on, which I will hit on shortly. And these are something we work with on the day-to-day basis. Next slide, please. So the County of San Diego's legislative program is truly a collaborative document. So for the second year, EDGA has sought community input for the legislative program. We did this through our public comment period, which stretched the month of August. We received feedback on the county's social media, Twitter, Facebook platforms. We also held a community forum that was conducted on October the 6th, which resulted in feedback from many different individuals and organizations, such as the Hongo Coalition, Housing Commission, other government entities, and many private voices. We also engaged the Leon L. Williams Human Relations Commission Legislative Subcommittee, and all together through the feedback we received during all of those components. There were several additional policy guideline statements proposed in the 2023 legislative program related to equity and justice, accessibility for individuals with disabilities, paid family leave, pay equity in childcare and development. I do want to specifically call out a statement that was brought by our prior chair of the Legislative Subcommittee, Commissioner Warsan Arton. She highlighted that the County San Diego legislative program had a little bit of a gap in an area that included inclusive language. So there was a statement added to our guideline statement under the equity section, statement 4, to support legislation that would promote equitable, culturally responsive, and inclusive language accessibility. Also, in working with Sam and the Office of Equity and Racial Justice, we have updated the equity statements in the priorities document to update it and make it the most effective for this legislative session. We also have, from community feedback, we have new statements in the priorities with reproductive health care, and we have just some really great language that we have brought together through this very collaborative document. The 2023 proposed legislative program is a reflection of the continuation of the framework for the future. Members of the public, community-based organizations, and other entities and our departments have all shared input in making this document. And it's a reflection of, we truly feel it's a reflection of the people we serve. Next slide, please. Well, the California State Legislature is back in session. We have more than 30 new members, or freshman members, and we also have new members of the San Diego County delegation. While we expect legislation around housing and homelessness and climate change, there's also a lot unknown. Additionally to the return of the California State Legislature, the governor just released his proposed state budget last week, which our office is actively evaluating right now for county impacts. There is currently a projected roughly $24 billion deficit, so we know that tough decisions will be made. We will be advocating for the best interests of the San Diego County region and our organization as a whole. We have already sent out, our office has already begun sending out relevant bills for analysis to our departments for feedback. We will likely see a large surge of bills that will be introduced into the state legislature, and then before the deadline for introduction on February 17th. We look forward to an exciting legislative session, and I invite all of you to come and hear what we're doing in the Office of Economic Development and Government Affairs. And please bring us feedback on the bills of your interest, and please come and join us in the legislative subcommittee meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you.
You You already indicated your rules of engagement and we will follow them.
Thank you. I was told very strictly, so I'm happy to. I see some of our subcommittee members, Commissioner Corey, Chair Elliott, now Chair Elliott Santiago, Elliott Santos, and Commissioner Evans. We also are looking for other subcommittee members, so please join us. And thank you for your time.
Sure. Agenda item 9, we have 15 minutes left. Subcommittee updates. Any other subcommittee updates?
And we didn't have any formal updates, but any subcommittees that would like to speak, and I see Commissioner Evans, your hand is up.
Yes.
Thank you. This is the communication subcommittee. We have our date set for our meet and greet. We need all of the commissioner members to be at this meeting. And it's an opportunity for us. This will be our first town hall meeting. So we're inviting everyone in North County, actually everyone in San Diego County, I should say. And since, honestly, since now we've been through districting, been associated with Orange County, perhaps we should ask the San Clemente people to come. We share schools, you know, we share political boundaries, and maybe we share some of the same issues. I know it's a different county, but still, okay. Our meet and greet will be held at the Oceanside Library, 330 Coast Highway, from 1 to 3 o'clock. It's going to be January 28th, 2023. Again, we all need to be there. We have flyers, thanks to Pedro, Commissioner Anaya. I should call you Commissioner Anaya, I apologize. Who put out a fabulous flyer. And our concern now is getting the flyer out to the public. How do we distribute that? If we want everyone to be invited, so if you belong to other organizations or family and friends, you know, please tell them to come. All right, we will have refreshments. And since it's a Saturday, the library is going to be open. So anyone who says, well, I need babysitting, believe me, in Oceanside, the library does have those kinds of student activities going on during the day, as well as the fact that it does, unfortunately, does become a place where our youth can come and read a book, maybe. Okay, so definitely spread the word. All right, and we're really excited about this, and this is our first one, and we really want the first one to be successful. And we'll have town hall meetings in every district within San Diego County, you know, but I think the first one really needs to be successful. And Mr. Packer, you're more than welcome to come, and members of your organization or groups, you know, please invite them. Thank you.
May I just add on to that, Director Strong?
Sure.
I also just want to acknowledge our the County of San Diego's community engagement team. Commissioner Anaya, you know, he presented us with the content that should be on the flyer, but our community engagement team is whom helped us with the actual flyer itself, to be inclusive with the language and make sure we reach and it's accessible to all of the community. So I just wanted to, you know, give them a shout out, because their community engagement team here at the County of San Diego did a great job.
Thank you. And along with that, through the chair, I also want to give kudos to Commissioner Corey for his letter, and the fact that he's already taken the initiative to make contacts. And Commissioner Corey, is there anything you want to add? He's the co-chair.
Thank you very much. I have nothing really to add. You've done an excellent job. And I'm looking forward to have as many of our commissioners and community members and leaders attend, because it is an opportunity to interact and to let the public in general know what we are all about and what we can do on their behalf. Thank you very much.
Okay. And again, how do we get the flyers out to the public?
And we can distribute that. We have a multiple distribution list, but also feel free, we'll share it with the entire commission to where they can distribute as well. We'll put it on our social media as well.
This is Commissioner Khoury. I already sent it also to many of our community leaders and the different coalitions that I have been with. And I suggest that every commissioner take a copy and send it to their contacts as soon as possible, because people need to really save the date, as they say, in order to be able to join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just said, could you reiterate the time? Was it 1 to 3?
1 to 3. Yes, we're going to start setting up at about 12:30 or so, and actually go to 3:30, but we need to clean up. So we're looking at 1 to 3. Is that correct? Cindy? Okay.
It's from 1 and 3. I also sent out an email Friday with the flyer attached to all commissioners. So everyone should have received the flyer, but let me know if you don't have it. I can send another one.
Great. Thank you, Communications Subcommittee, and really a thank you goes out to Commissioner Evans, who stepped up to make this happen. We appreciate your leadership, again, stepping out into unknown territory. But under your leadership, you've made this happen, and I anticipate that it's going to be a great success. And we will ensure to get the word out to all of the residents, particularly in North County, about our first convening. We intend to take this tour on the road to different areas of the county. So we're going to be asking other commissioners who represent other areas of the county to step up. But under the leadership of Commissioner Evans, we now have a template that we can follow and use in order to ensure we have successful convenings. So thank you very much, Commissioner Evans, for your leadership.
Thank you, but I stand on the shoulders of Commissioner Khoury and on Commissioner Anaya. You know, it was a team effort.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Okay. And agenda item 10,
I'm sorry, one more thing. I really have to say thank you and for all the help that Cindy Jones has provided. She's been phenomenal. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Cindy. Agenda item 10, any community raised matters?
And this is the agenda item to provide an opportunity to discuss to put anything on a future agenda based on community raised issues that the commission wants to discuss. I'm not seeing any hands up, Chair Nash.
All right. Let's move to staff updates, agenda item 11.
So just one, well, actually 2 updates. One, we received, I received a communication from the new president of the ADL, and they will be submitting an application potentially for the HRC to be forwarded to your commission to vote on in the future. So I wanted to let you know that after Tammy moved on, Tammy Gillies moved on, they now have a new president. So if this commission wants to consider that in the future, we can discuss, Chair Nash. And then the second item is the next meeting is February 21st. And at that meeting, we'll be having an in-depth review of the Brown Act, our bylaws, in addition to our rules of order, to get the new year kicked off, but also we'll be discussing the future meetings and how they'll be in person in March. And we'll be giving an in-depth overview of the Assembly bill that really defines what the current state will be moving forward for teleconferencing.
Great, thank you.
Also, Warson is no longer with us.
That's correct. Warson Artan has resigned. So we'll also, I believe, Chair Nash, you'll be, thank you, Cindy. We'll be looking for a new vice chair to vote on for the next meeting.
And also, we also need the AGL, you brought the AGL, Tammy, that's a replacement opportunity as well, correct?
It is, but the that is not an organizational seat. That was a commission appointed seat.
Yes, yes.
All right,
so we need to address that too as well, sooner than later. Important voice. Thank you for that. Any other announcements?
I'm not seeing any hands up, Chair Nash.
Okay. Okay, meeting adjourned until our next. I'm going to give you back 4 minutes. Meeting adjourned till Tuesday, February the 21st, 2023. Everyone have a great week and a great month.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay dry.
Thank you.
And Happy New Year.
Goodbye, everybody. Good to see everybody.